Hello, hello.
Bada bing, bada boom. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, my friend. How are we doing, man?
Oh, I am doing great. Doing great. I went and I hit the links earlier today.
Nice.
The golf course. Pretty darn nice out there.
Wait, isn't it cold by you? Like really cold by you?
Uh, it was nice today. It was about 12 degrees Celsius, so Fahrenheit. I'm gonna say
Like
like
50?
60, 55.
Oh wow. Okay. Never mind. I
It's
keep forgetting it's starting to finally get warm around
yeah,
y'all. It is it
especially
is
especially
April.
especially out west, like I'm on the coast, like Vancouver area.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's like it's definitely cool, but nice. And yeah, being out on the course in early April, especially when I came from the province east of British Columbia, or that's where I
Yeah.
grew up, and they're actually I have seen some golf courses are open over there, but it is much more mild over here. So in the sun, super nice conditions. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm doing great. And yeah, again, another week gone by.
Yeah. We did a great episode last week, man. We had a lot of people tuning in. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was fun. I think we should do one of those again, or maybe schedule them in every once in a while, because I feel like we only got into like 3 minutes total or something.
Yeah, that's just like a recurring one every week where it's just like a shit show on purpose,
Yeah,
designed to kind of weed out some of the nonsense. But
yeah.
yeah, that was definitely a good one, man. And let's talk with RG. We got to reach out to Dr. Shrednecki. I'm going to reach
Okay,
out to her so we can schedule something with her within the next month. So I'll keep you posted on that. And for the
that'd be
Hex kids, we're
awesome.
going to have our kind of like doctor that is kind of with the Hexagon group come on and speak some of
hmm
those awesome truths out to you guys, answer questions, all that good stuff. I still got to talk with her and get a feel for what she's looking to kind of do when she comes on stream, but that'll be really exciting to have for you guys as
Yeah,
well.
current doctor for the captain, and I believe the doctor for Robert Kiyosaki and a lot of that crew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She with Robert Kiyosaki. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. He
Yeah, she's pretty popular then, I would say.
yeah, yeah. She seems pretty cool. Seems on the preventative side of things, which is
Yeah,
kind of
very
what,
much so. More towards the holistic preventive side.
yeah, which is I think a lot of what we like hope to see, like starting and like coming in the world of medicine in general, as opposed to being reactionary. So that's
Yeah.
a great approach, and yeah, hopefully more practices or more people like her start popping up. So that'd be
1.0.
sweet if we could get her on. I remember RG had talked about that a little while back, and
Yeah, he just
yeah,
shot me her contact info, man. So probably, I would say, hopefully within the next 2 to 4 weeks, depending how busy she is. I'm sure every doctor right
awesome.
now is just totally
Yeah,
swamped because there's not
yeah,
enough of them. But
yeah.
hopefully she can make some time for us, man. That'd be cool.
Heck
But
yeah.
yeah, guys, we got some really cool stuff to go over tonight. It's going to be just slightly different from what we typically talk about. Typically, we talk about food and stuff. Tonight is going to be more so data analytics as it pertains to a age-old tool that everybody is familiarized with in some capacity, which is the scale, the weight scale. We'll be talking about how to use this thing properly and give you guys hopefully a much different perspective and usage case of it because people are wildly misusing this thing. Like totally. Like it is a screwdriver and you're using it as a jackhammer. You're using it as something that kind of it can do, but not well at all. And you got to understand how to use it properly. When you use a screwdriver the way it's supposed to be used, you're just like, this is nice. This makes sense, right? Way less stress. The tool's being used for the job it's supposed to be used for. So the point is we were never really taught this stuff. We never really taught how to articulate numbers and data as pertains to weighing yourself and how this stuff actually works and what's going on behind the scenes and how to visually kind of articulate that to ourselves too so we can stay motivated and focused because a lot of times things are moving in the right direction, whether it be weight loss, progress in some capacity, and we just honestly don't know it. We don't know it. We don't have the right information. We're not gleaning the right things for the right information or with the information we have available to us. So what we're going to be getting into today is kind of like a dummy chart setup that I have with an actual client and her data, but it's going to be obviously like without her name or anything. It's just going to be on there to show you guys some patterns and stuff and talk about it a bit, and then get into some of the nitty gritty of some of the mistakes I see people make some of the methodologies and bullet points that you guys should hopefully use in your own setup/strategy when it comes to, really tracking progress in general. There's a number of different tools. We're not going to go over all of the tools, right? You could use measurements, you could use your weigh-ins, you could use your strength, you could use the way your clothes fit, the way your watch fits, the way your shoes fit. I've seen people drop shoe sizes before when they're losing weight. The point being is we're really focusing solely on the scale today because it is a $30 piece of plastic or glass that almost everybody has access to. That's why, right? Everybody has access to this thing. We don't have DEXA scans, which is a very expensive piece of hospital equipment that helps give you an accurate representation of body fat percentage. We don't have those in the bathroom. We have a $40 piece of plastic from Target. So how do we utilize this thing in a way that actually is conducive to your success, to give you the right triggers, the right indicators, right? Just like we're tracking hex on a chart, for example, to know when to make a move, when it makes sense to do things. So that's what we're going to kind of get into tonight. So we'll see how that goes.
I am very interested, to kind of see your process and hear you kind of talk out loud about what you see to be like some of the sticking points or some of the harder points, because weight has become like more than just a metric for, I think, most people. It's not just a number that a lot of people can track. Like a lot of people are completely deterred from the scale for completely other reasons. So it's going to be interesting to hear like what you run into a lot in with people that you work with. Anybody tuning in currently, I'd like encourage you to just like comment on like specific areas that Ryan's talking about and maybe just provide some insight into if it's a issue or if there's anything that's notable for you in that area where it's like, oh, I do want to weigh myself or I don't want to weigh myself. That's something that's really interesting to me. People who have like I'm gonna call it like scale aversion. They're like, oh no, I don't want to weigh myself, because the weight on the scale has become tied to value in some way, shape, or form. When it can be just a metric. So it's a lot more complex than it looks from the surface. But so yeah, I'm really interested to see some of these charts and kind of hear your process here, Ryan.
Yeah, well worded, man. That's a great point. To be transparent, a lot of people I speak to about this have decades of bad experiences with the scale. And they have to trust me well enough to say, hey, we're going to rebuild this relationship, because at the end of the day, this stuff still exists. And some of these things are our only tools we have for the job. So all we can do is rebuild this relationship, right? Because typically it's not in a great spot. It is somehow tied to value when really it's just an indicator, right? Just like on a chart with tracking hex, you have the 8 SMA, the 50 SMA, you have the exponential moving averages. Like, guys, these are just indicators. They're flashing lights. They're not always going to be indicative of what actually happens, but it typically is a good sign of the trend, right? So we're going to use that same methodology just because the audience we're talking to right now, but I'll go over what people typically run into with the scale. Just people that are, let's be frank, most people are not looking at charts at crypto. We're in a very niche audience, but obviously we'll tailor it to that way too, because that's the way I look at some of these things that we're going to be using the scale for, is a slow moving indicator of what's actually happening and what data points do we actually want to pay attention to. And how do we kind of equate this mindset of caring about the scale, and how do we appropriate responsibility to it on the same wavelength we do with finances? Because it's not like, oh, well, I'm doing okay right now, I'm just going to not check the bank account for 4 years and see what happens. We don't do that. We don't even operate on that wavelength. People would think we're crazy. How do we already operate in this wavelength from a mindset perspective with responsibility, right? We go to the store, we go to Target, we look at cereal. We're already doing the math financially in our head. We're already doing this. We take it for granted. We've just become very comfortable with it because we've done it for so long, right? We're still enjoying shopping when we go get some, new running wear or new socks or whatever. We're still enjoying it, but we know the price point is there, right? So we know the data is there. We know there's pros and cons to overspending, underspending, but how we've been able to build this kind of in the middle relationship, right? And the branching, or really correlating that to that, the financial responsibility, correlating that to weigh-ins and the responsibility that pertains to food and calories and tracking and weigh-ins and kind of the data that goes behind it, is kind of the bridge we try to cross in a way that's at a pace that makes sense for the person and is gradual. Of course, you can't just throw everything at somebody, but at some point you just got to jump into it, get your feet wet. There are pain points. Let me be clear, guys. There is pain involved with some of this. You're getting out of your comfort zone. The scale, I tell people don't fall in love with the scale as it's going lower because it will absolutely dump you the next day.
Yeah.
It will dump the shit out of you and it will not care about it. The scale's job is not to tell you body fat percentage movements. It is picking up so many different things.
Yeah.
It is not its job to tell you about body fat. It is to tell you the general trend of weight direction as pertains to total weight, which can also fluctuate quite a bit from male to female, right? I mostly work with females at this point. So the point being, as we get into these things, keep in mind this is a very delicate thing. Just know as I get into this stuff, you may be at a very different spot. Someone who may be totally willing to jump right into this stuff, someone who really needs to take a step back, that's totally fair and fine. Everybody's their own unique case to this and unique story too, depending on where you're at in the process with this stuff. So if I go too quick or we get into anything that's a little bit too complex or triggering, feel free to put a comment in or feel free to tune out temporarily. I know how this stuff can go. So like a quick trigger warning, if you will, for people who do have potentially, severe issues with the scale, but I do encourage you maybe pop back in maybe after the stream or, tune in and out if there's some content we're going over that's tough to get through. I know it sounds crazy to say, but trust me, it definitely would help somebody out there who's listening probably. But we can hop right into it if you want, man, into the charts.
Yeah, let's freaking do it. Just the one thing I liked what you said there when you kind of said like we don't have a DEXA, but a scale is almost is like available or accessible to nearly everybody, and it acts as a proxy to what that DEXA is doing, right? Like DEXA can be diagnostic. The scale is not diagnostic per se, but it is great or highly correlated with what the DEXA will show. So, yeah. To look at it like a tool or an instrument, like a DEXA or like a blood pressure cuff, right? Like a blood pressure cuff is a useful tool to collect data that is useful for you in the exact same way a scale is, in the exact same way a blood test is. Maybe not quite as indicative or as like pinpoint in terms of accuracy, but that is what it is doing in a sense. So I liked that comparison to just try to remove any sort of I'm not sure like high stakes when it comes to the scale. Like it's not a it's tough for me to talk on because I don't fully understand it, but
dude, the scale is like its own taboo thing, man. Like it only will come from talking about it so much, and that's how we get comfortable with this stuff. You have to get in there and look at the data. It's like the bank account, right? Without all the little baby transactions, and keep in mind, you're probably not going to freak out about a $3 cup of coffee that you bought last week, right? You're not going to give a shit about that monthly statement coming in with that little $3 transaction. I mean, maybe if you're really hyper analyzing your budget that month, but overall, we're not going to freak out and say, the hell with this budget because this $3 transaction comes in and you spend everything in your bank account that day, So why are we able to mentally operate on a wavelength where we check the bank account maybe once every few days or once every week or once every month and have a good relationship with the long-term trend, with the overall trend, but we can't create that same wavelength for overall health, responsibility with health, et cetera. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. Once again, we're specifically honing in the scale, but the scale is, like you said, it is the most cost-effective diagnostic tool that is the simplest, almost like BMI, in that way, I hate to say it, that allows somebody to get started quickly, effectively, but if you don't know what you're doing, it could quickly turn you off and give you the worst experience on the planet. And we're going to get into some of these things. Okay. So let's pop in here. So this is just like an example chart that I have for somebody that's working with me. The point being is what this really is this area here, I'm going to do a quick highlight for you guys. So everything in purple is just the daily weigh-ins. So we're taking daily weigh-ins. We're doing these in the morning, right after somebody wakes up, they will go to the bathroom and then weigh in. Number one, starting off, that's going to be the most effective time of the day to weigh in because it's typically going to be the most consistent. Don't weigh yourself after showering. Don't weigh yourself after having a big meal. Don't weigh yourself at the end of the night trying to guess what it's going to do the next day. Don't do these things, guys. I know we like to chart and predict the future, but it's not like that with the scale. You're always rearward looking on the scale, never forward looking. You can, but you have to be clever about it. So the point is everything that's highlighted here are this is a real person. So I'm going to try to articulate as many patterns as I can, but this person's weigh-ins every day for about 3 months. Now, what we need to understand here first is people are probably going to say, well, why are they weighing in so much? I prefer to weigh in once a week, or I prefer to weigh in once a month because it's, it allows me to pull away from this stuff. When I hear somebody that has to weigh once a week or once every 2 weeks or something like that, that shows me that they have not built a good relationship with the data. Weighing yourself once a week or once every 2 weeks, or even anything longer than once a week is like checking your bank account once every 6 months. It's too damn long. Can it work? Sometimes, if you get lucky, yes. Is it something you really want to rely on long term, though, if shit hits the fan, or if there is something going on behind the scenes? No. Right? And keep in mind with a bank account, it's not like you're checking it once every 6 months. You're only looking at a week's worth of data every 6 months. So you can't even look back to see what happened. So you're even more frustrated if your bank account's in the red because you're like, I don't know why. You have no information to go off of, to make improvements, to spot patterns, right? And once again, there is pain involved. Just like people forget, when we first got bank accounts, most people were broke. At least I was.
Yeah.
$0. That was a lot of responsibility. It was like 16. Hey, you're worth $0. Self-worth, right? We made that comment. Self-worth with the scale.
Yeah.
So obviously over many years and decades, we've built this relationship. Does it take decades to build it with the skill? No. I typically see in 4 to 6 months, people completely rewriting the way they think about it. But that's the point. We need information. You can't be afraid of it. The responsibility is scary. The pain points when things are going not the right direction are scary, but that's how we learn and grow. Just like if your budget is not working, there's clearly overspending going on. Is it shitty to see? Yeah, it is. But what are you going to do? You're going to look at it, see it, and make improvements and move on, just like anything else in life. So the point is weighing yourself once every week, 2 weeks, month is not enough time for you to know what's going on. You have to be incredibly good at what you do and so dang consistent, which, as we talked about in prior episodes, if that's your strategy, if being perfect on the book, I eat nothing but this chicken and this every day, the same meals, good luck sticking to that every day for the rest of your life. Because when things get dicey, things change, you can't be in the corner eating your little chicken and broccoli every day perfectly. It's not going to work out, and you're going to want to have the data to rely on. Could you eyeball every price point you did and maybe never go negative in the bank account? Sure. But why would you give yourself like that?
Yeah.
You're just leaving room on the table to make more improvements. So I think it's a good start point is the amount of times that we do weigh in is very important. Now, do we always need exactly every day for the whole week? No, we don't. Sometimes if you forget or if you're on a trip or whatever, we'll get into that in a little bit, having 5 weigh-ins is just fine to get an idea of the trip. But I really think it's important to note that if someone is really unwilling or afraid to weigh more than once every week or 2 weeks or longer, there is work that needs to be done to help improve that.
Yeah, I would like more data in this case is helpful, especially when we're talking about if we only have one data point per week or per month. Yeah, I don't know, like you said, like it's not imperative, like it's not like, hey, you need to get on a scale every damn day to like get better, but it is useful, like I don't know what the line is here, but I would say like how about like every other day would be nice, like that'd still be good, but
honestly, probably 4 days a week is plenty. Honestly,
right? So yeah,
most of the time. Now remember, if somebody is very new to this is why it can get dicey. If someone's new to this and they're not used to the scale bouncing around and they see it go up 2 pounds, they want answers.
Yeah.
What do you do when you can't provide answers? Because you weren't willing to tell them to step on it every day. In the beginning, right? In the beginning part of the process. At this point now, me weighing myself every day for 8 years, I could never use the scale again and be just fine. But I had to build that relationship, understand this stuff, right? Just like the bank account, we could probably not check it for a whole month and still be okay for the most part,
Yeah.
But maybe not so much in the beginning. The point being is, yes, I agree with that 100%. But in someone's early stages of their process, mentally, when they're building this relationship with the scale, they want answers. They see the scale go up 2 pounds. They want to know why. For example, I'll put the chart now and go over something here. So let's just say right here, week 2, I'm going to highlight it in red here. Not that it's bad. It's just an easy color to see. So week 2, we have an NA weigh-in on Friday and then a 143 on Saturday. And then we have an uptick of about half a pound, almost a full pound. And someone may say, hey, I want to know why we're going up. It seems like we're not going in the right direction. Well, number one, your average down here, which I'm going to highlight. This is the 7-day moving average. I'll use that terminology because of crypto, but it's a 7-day average. I'll say number one, your average is still down half a pound for the week. For a female, anywhere from half a pound to a pound and a half a week on average is really good pacing for weight loss. We haven't talked about that yet. But the point is still down half a pound. So far, nothing is really killed our plan. You guys know like about a trading plan. If your trading stop, not that Richard recommends that obviously, but you stick to the plan, right? You have your stop loss, you have your take profit points, etc. This is the plan we follow. We wait for certain things to happen before making more of a logical based response versus an emotional. So the point is, if I have a client 2 weeks in, super new, building this relationship with the scale, freaking out because they see things go up, we look at the common things that could happen. Hey, did you weigh in earlier that morning? That could easily make it go up. Did you weigh in with a higher sodium content from the day prior because you ate out, which is typical for you on every Friday night? You typically go out and get Indian food, right? Did we guess on things, etc. So being able to provide answers, we haven't even gotten to how, but being able to provide answers is why I'll say in the first 3 months especially, it is more helpful than not to have more data. That's how I'll word it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
Because if you don't have answers, that person, their consistency just dropped to the ground. They are frustrated. They think 143 is the end of this and it's going up. Like you lost that person. Their consistency is gone. As soon as you lose someone's consistency, especially in the first month, done deal, right? Because they're giving you a chance to rebuild things. So these averages, right? These averages are important. This is like looking at your bank account once every month or so, I would say is the equivalent of that. The point is the scale's job is not to provide you with body fat dropping. It is supposed to provide you with overall trend in your weight movement. Yeah. So there could be weeks, typically what I've seen is every 10 weeks, about 20% of the time, the data is terrible. It's garbage. It doesn't make sense. It's an outlier, which is fair. The average picks up most of the noise and can weed it out, but there's going to be a couple wonky weeks. Hey, I'm a nurse and I shifted the night shift. Great, your weigh-in shifted up 2 pounds this whole week. It's going to make it seem like you lost 2 weeks of progress. Don't worry. This is normal.
Yeah.
You're weighing in at 3 p.m. now. Very, very different situation. So, as it pertains to these averages, we understand, and that's where these conversations are helpful, why communication is so helpful, because someone doesn't know that, they're going to freak out. And all it takes is one bad day to then have the scale go 2 pounds higher, and then they say, F it, I'm out. I'm sick and tired of seeing this thing go up. Because there's no one else there to talk sense or give them, feedback that is actual answers, which sometimes the answer is painful. Hey, we likely overate. It's okay, though. You have been overeating on weekends, for example, so your weigh-ins are always higher on the weekends, and that's normal, but look at your deltas. They're still going down. So we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
Notice what I highlighted here. I'm going to highlight again here in pink at the top on Wednesday. All right? On a Wednesday. If you were somebody who weighed in once a week and you only weighed in on Wednesday, well, you got really lucky because every weigh-in on Wednesday on her chart went down. Except for one. Everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Is that the case with all the weigh-ins? Absolutely freaking not. The weekends are a mess. The weekends are an absolute mess because there is a wide range of weigh-in times. There is a wide range of sodium intake. You're typically more social then. Once again, if you're eating your chicken broccoli in the corner, I don't need to worry about this, Ryan. Fantastic. Once again, if you're really going to be that person that does it forever, great. Go look the part. Be perfect. Forever. You come back to me, let me know how that works though, long term.
Yeah.
But the point is deltas are great because it shows identifiable patterns person to person. If somebody always has a certain kind of meal on a Wednesday night, like ramen, and it's typically higher in sodium, we can pinpoint that, right? So for example, if let's say I'm just going to pick some data here. So we'll look at these two here. Give me a sec. I'm going to de-highlight some of this stuff so it's easier for you guys to see. So notice this purple one right in the middle on week 3. She goes from 141.8 to 143.2.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to fill in a weigh-in here just for example's sake. So she may be freaking out because she went up almost 2 pounds in a day. Oh my God, I was just 141.8 on Thursday. Is everything exploding? I will literally get these lines. Is everything exploding? Like I'm up 2 pounds. See, this is what I'm telling you. This just won't work for me. This is where we say, hey, listen, we've already had an identifiable pattern here. On a Friday, you always weigh in higher because you do ramen at the end of the night, and it's typically a meal that you do have later at night as well. So when you eat later at night, it will also spike the scale a bit more too. But because it's not fair to base that on your Saturday weigh-in, which you sleep in till 2 p.m. on, for example, you're going to weigh in a lot lower if you sleep in till 2 p.m. So it's not fair to do the day-to-day. So looking at your deltas, right, your Thursday to Thursday, your Saturday to Saturday, your Monday to Monday. Typically, there are very easy to follow patterns there. just like your monthly in the bank account. Do you freak out when you see one transaction come in for $400, especially if it's planned? No, especially if it's not like a normal. You know, if it was a recurring thing, you didn't know what it was. Okay, yeah, maybe. But if like, oh, I had to buy new tires, $400, you know why it's there. It makes sense. You're not freaking out. The whole thing isn't coming crashing down. Same thing if this client were to have ramen with 2,000 milligrams of sodium at 10 o'clock at night, and she always does that with her husband on a Wednesday night, I'm not going to tell her not to do it, but I'm going to explain to her how to be responsible in identifying what's actually happening, so she doesn't emotionally respond to it as badly. Right? We're emotional creatures. We're humans. We're going to respond to it in some capacity. It's not going to be fun to see sometimes. But the more somebody loses weight, the more okay they do become with seeing these patterns. I'll say that much.
Yeah. It would be tough to, like, this week 6 that you mentioned there, to see in week 6 that you go from 140.3 to 141.6, and that puts you higher than you were in week 3. So 3 weeks prior. I do see how it could be like, whoa, what? 3 weeks of my like effort and hard work and
are gone.
have translated to nothing, actually plus 0.2 pounds. This is bullshit. Why is this happening? Are things exploding? Like, what the fuck? I do see that, but yeah, it's just there are so many moving pieces, and we don't even know like what all the pieces do, you know? So it's like, if you know what is going in, the scale is a fairly reliable measurement. It is not perfect. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah, if you're looking at this in isolation, I would say, you know, like if you see this, zoom out and just like look at the number of calories that you ate that day. Look at the trend, like you're saying, look at the deltas, look at the way we're moving, and you can reliably say, hey, this number is not adding up, is not making sense. I wonder why that could be, and it could be so many reasons. It's insane the number of reasons that, or number of like actual like mechanisms that could lead to that, you know, on top of like the human error. Like even if you weighed in at the same time, even if you ate the same meals, the exact same meals as the day before, right?
You get stress, hormone levels, cycle.
Yeah, exactly, right? So even if we controlled every variable we could, we would still see fluctuations. So
I'm glad you pointed out week 7. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what happened here because I mean she's on a pause right now. She's on vacation. We did a reverse diet for her towards the end of her time with me, so she could go on she went like a sabbatical thing in a different country for a month. She's gonna come back. But the point is yeah, this is a great point, right? You see that daily weigh-in and you freak the hell out, like all my work's gone. But see these NA weigh-ins beforehand, that was a weekend away. So what I typically explain to people about some of the high and lows that you see, because once again, the scale is terrible to use day to day. That's what we're going to close this conversation out with at the end, is why it's so terrible day to day. But the point is what I like to term it as is called swing weight, right? We all have a swing weight, and it could be a lot higher than you think, depending how heavy the person is, right? So a client with 350 pounds of weight will have a much higher swing weight up and to the downside because they have more mass. Same thing, you know, to the lower end. Someone who's lighter won't have as big of a swing weight. But if I can go up 3 pounds just with sodium intake, what do you think a 300-pound person could do? Think about it, right? So that being said, when you see something like this, obviously we had a conversation. She had some overages. There was higher sodium. And I think she woke up and weighed in a bit earlier for her job the next day. I know it was a Sunday. She's a nurse, so it could have been the Sunday. The point being is the swing weight is the way I typically explain why we could easily drop the scale. We can manipulate the scale, guys. We could easily drop it 3 to 4 pounds by having a little bit of alcohol at the end of the day and dehydrating yourself and stop eating at 5 o'clock. And boom, oh, do we drop 3 pounds of body fat? Hooray. No. But you know what happens is when people see the scale rip down really fast, they always associate it with just body fat. Like, oh, this has to be body fat being taken off. It can't be anything else. Right?
I lost fat. I lost weight.
Is some of it body fat? Absolutely, guys. But there is so much that goes into this, right? Glycogen stores, water weight, you know, all the other sodium, all these other things that we'd already mentioned here that go into this swing weight. So you got to be able to convey this to people without overcomplicating it. So I talk about swing weight and that, we are operating on the higher end of the swing weight here. You're coming back from vacation, nothing but eating out. And honestly, that's pretty good. 143 is not too bad. She came down beautifully literally 2 days after that, as you can see in the chart. 2 days it took, guys. Now, if that person said, F it, I'm done with the scale, and then went off track for another 3 weeks, that's where the real regression happens. Not the 1 or 2 days where the scale is giving you the worst possible answer because you're back and you're on the higher end of the swing weight. Just like we could be in the low end of the swing weight, and I tell people, don't fall in love. Don't fall in love with the scale. It is just an acquaintance. Just like the bank account. You don't marry the damn thing, you don't hate it. It's just there. It's just a tool. Same thing here. We don't want to fall in love with these numbers because it will dump you, right? You see people dropping weight so fast and it comes back up so fast. These bigger swings because they're doing more and more aggressive things typically to make that swing weight go all the way up or all the way down, which is not easy to track from a data perspective. And it's not really a good thing to do anyways as it pertains to a dieting strategy. That's a whole other conversation. We've touched on that before, but the point is that's a great comment you made about this week in the yellow, because when you're able to identify, like, here's the thing, guys, some of this stuff is not fun. It's painful. To see the scale go up 3.5 pounds, it's not fun the first time you see it. Just like it's not fun to see your bank account at 0 for the first time when you first open it up as a kid. Yeah. It's not. It's just not fun. But
go the wrong way when you are actively trying to make it go the other way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, if you don't have the data to understand why and see these patterns, because the more you see these patterns, the more comfortable you are with them. It's like a mortgage payment. It's probably painful the first time it gets taken out, but after the 20th one, you don't really give a shit. You know why it's there. It makes sense. Just like if I have a female working with and her cycle hits, and she goes up 4 pounds, and then we chart it, and she understands that that's totally normal. As she continues to lose more and more weight and see these patterns, she's less bothered by it. It's still annoying. I'm not going to speak on the female's behalf. I don't go through a cycle, but I hear the experience, and I hear it's quite annoying. So the point is they are able to build a better relationship with it and build a better relationship with managing their health during it too, which is huge, instead of like a total on-off switch. I don't want to get into the whole male versus female thing here, but the point is understanding these things is so incredibly important, guys, because if you can't get a good relationship with this stuff, unless you can afford a DEXA scan, there's really not a whole lot of better ways to do it at the point that we're at now. Unless there is an incredibly good body fat percentage reading tool. Because keep in mind, her first few weeks here, the next one we're going to shift to is her measurements. The first few weeks, we didn't drop that much weight. If you look at this, guys, 3 weeks in, we're not even down a full pound on our average. We're down 0.8. Most people would say, this shit sucks. I'm out.
Yeah.
Because they're only using one tool. Well, guess what? She started resistance training for the first time in a while. And guess what? She was dead on accurate and consistent and had a calorie count that allowed her to be flexible with her food intake and have good energy and a high protein intake. What do you think that's going to happen to a person's body who's very, responsive to high protein intake and muscle breakdown and all that stuff, especially if it's that person's first time? Thought about that. Putting on muscle, potentially while dropping body fat at the same time. The magic formula that everybody wants. Well, guess what? Here's the kicker. Everybody wants to drop body fat and put on muscle at the same time. Nobody wants the data that goes along with it. Because the scale goes flat. The scale goes flat or just dribbles down. And you notice your strength's going through the roof and your measurements are coming down aggressively. So that's a whole other conversation about all the other tools. But notice her measurements came down like a rock here in her first 3 sets. Right down almost 2.5 inches off her waist in 2 sets of measurements. Not to mention other areas she came down in, which is huge. It's a big move for only dropping a pound. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't correlate. But when you factor in the workouts and stuff, once again, you would think the measurements would be enough to put someone's mind at ease. No. This is why we need to have all this stuff. And study from experience, people will freak the F out that they have not dropped a pound yet. And they will want to leave. So, man, it is so helpful, guys, to get in there and just get dirty with it and really just, even if you're not, my best advice is even if you're not losing weight, just track it. Just get familiar with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Just look at it.
I agree.
Look at the patterns. Because when you do go into weight loss, you already know what your current patterns are. You'll be that much more prepared. Oh, shit. Look at that. It goes up every weekend and it comes back down. Oh, I wonder why. It may not even be calorie surplus. It could even just be your sodium intake, the time of the day you're eating, like exercise said.
Yeah.
So getting familiarized with this stuff and allowing it to make sense. So to summarize what we've talked about so far, 2 things I recommend looking at. Your 7-day moving average, your weekly average, right, on your weigh-ins, with at least 4 to 5 days of data. Anything less than that, it's getting a little hairy because you can get some outliers. And looking at your deltas, right? Your Monday to Monday, your Tuesday to Tuesday, your Saturday to Saturday. Those are going to be a truth teller because you typically do the same things on those days, usually, right? Saturday to Saturday, typically more social. Can't imagine why, right? Now, there are differences. Everybody could be a little bit different here, right? But that's just commonalities I've seen. So those are two things there. And then lastly, we will talk about probably the day-to-day of the scale. But I'm going to pause for a sec, see if you have any questions for me, exercise, or if anybody else has any questions, because I've been rambling a bit here.
Oh, I'm just kind of checking out this chart, all the different spots. This is, I imagine, like probably as close to a model client as you have. How often do you think you would see this happen? Like, let's say you get 100
Yeah.
people come to you and sign up to do it. How many people do you think get to this point and see this type of success? How many of them kind of flatline? How many of them kind of drop off?
Yeah.
Like that, I guess retention might be like the what I'm interested in here.
In terms of drop off from the program or retention of muscle mass as they lose weight?
Retention in, I guess, like you keeping that person. Like if
Oh,
they were flat, like let's say they stayed at this
oh,
individual stayed
gotcha.
at
Yeah.
143 the whole way, do they stay with
Mhm.
you to week 11?
Oh,
Out
yeah, absolutely. I think right now we're still like a 95% success rate. And by success, I
nice.
define that as
Wow.
completing the program, being down. And honestly, man, it's all in the communication. You know, the fact that I text people every day and have thorough conversations, explaining stuff, voice messages, and then doing a phone call once weekly. Now, once again, a lot of that happens during the first 3 to 6 months. To be frank, I wish it was a 6 month program, but that's a long time to ask somebody to hop on with me for. But 3 months is where there's so much going on, to your point, right? That
Hmm.
the person is probably for the first time ever having a higher protein intake. I mean, keep in mind, people are not perfect, but even if they're hitting 100 grams on average daily versus like the 140 we were trying to hit, that's probably like a 3 to 4x what they're hitting before. Your
Yeah.
body is going to respond to that so incredibly differently. And all this stuff's happening, right? They're consistent with their intake. They're getting steps now. You gotta understand, the
Yeah.
majority of my clients do see some sort of a period where measurements are the better tool for the job in the short term from a
Hmm.
pacing perspective,
Yeah.
right? Because it is their first time doing all this. I have a 300-pound client. They're breaking down a lot of muscle tissue walking around.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have a lot of mass and they're breaking down a lot of muscle tissue in their calves, their hamstrings, their glutes, etc. And that's a good thing. Your legs are half your body. You can't underestimate it. People think, oh, well, that's only going to happen if I go to the gym. No,
Yeah.
dude. Nope. But it's
Yeah.
all for the better, right? This is good for your basal metabolic rate, right? With having more muscle mass on it. It's good for your overall shape. We
Yeah.
need muscle in general for strength as just being a human. So this is what I tell people, this is what you're actually coming here for. You're not here for weight loss. You're here for body composition improvement. And
Yeah.
although weight loss is a portion of that, it's not perfectly linear during that process if you're doing it the most effective way possible.
Hmm.
Could I
Yeah.
manipulate the scale for people to get to go down all the time and give them a worst end result? Sure. But I'm not doing them justice. I'd rather them go through some initial pain early on. But after that, man, they are ready to go for anything that comes their way. Because the more you rinse and repeat this process, the more linear the data does get with the scale. You can only put on so much muscle, right, when you're in a deficit. It's a very
Yeah.
short window. So
True.
eventually, it's like time in the market, guys. The longer you do this, the scale becomes the best tool for the job. And think about it this way. The more you lose weight, eventually the measurements are pointless. You get down to bone structure, you're at 32, 34-inch waist. What do you do?
Hmm.
You throw the measurements out. They're a bad tool for the job now.
Yeah.
Right? They're no longer effective. So it's interesting how these tools change hands, but almost all the time, man, in terms of end goal, guys, clients, what I tell them what they do get to is, hey, once the weight loss is done, which is a very short time period in your whole life, talking a year tops typically for most people with the full process of going in and out of the weight loss phase and doing these reverse diets, is we're eating a calorie count that is supportive of your lifestyle. Typically, in my experience, females age 40 to 65, anywhere from 23 to 2,800 calories a day. Yes, we are eating that much, people. And they're maintaining it because they can just look at their weekly averages. They're down 60, 80, 20, whatever pounds. And all they do is just look at the weekly average. If it gets up a
Hmm.
little bit too high, okay, cool. I'll just monitor things come right back down. Just like a weekly checking your bank account or even a bi-weekly.
Yeah.
The 30-pound gain, the 50-pound gain, the COVID weight, this and that, it never happens again. Because you catch it. Just like the
Yep.
budget. You
Yep.
catch it. Oh, you don't go, oh man, now
Whoa.
I'm 40 grand in the red. Now I should make some
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
Like, no, you probably catch it within a few weeks, you're checking.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. We are 40 in the red. Let's buy that house. No. Yeah. Well, those are unreal numbers, man. Like that's very impressive.
Dude, that's the thing
Um,
with it too, is like the data is such a small part, you know, and I mean this with so much sincerity. I'm not slighting people because this is how difficult this is. This is a day-to-day thing, keeping people on track. After you get them to maybe the 3-month or the 6-month mark and their mindset's in cruise control, it is so easy. They'll never fall off ever again, right? But the point is you could have somebody who's down 4 inches on their waist in 4 weeks, and they still think the process isn't moving fast enough. And I'll tell them, listen, you won't have a waist in 2 months if we keep this pacing. You're gonna be down a foot on your waist, and to be transparent, it's not enough. And at the point that person is at mentally with their relationship with the scale, it isn't enough. It's really not.
mhm.
You know, they have so much more to build with this relationship, with this tool, to really get them to a spot where they actually believe things are happening versus their prior experiences. So yeah, man, it's really cool stuff. It's all about verbiage. It's all about the way you convey things, because you can either convey it to look like nothing's happening or convey it to where everything's happening. Now, that being said, I don't flip-flop numbers to make it seem like we're moving, we're not. It serves me no benefit or the other person no benefit if they're at an actual real plateau.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. So we are able to identify a plateau quickly. That's the flip side. People forget when you do something like Weight Watchers, guys, not to poke fun at Weight Watchers. When you do something like Weight Watchers, they're telling you that they think you're so dumb that you can't do stuff like this. So they give you a point system. So you go, well, what the F do I do when the points don't work?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Go back
man,
and do the reverse algebra to figure out what the points mean, and then do what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So it's almost an insult. So when you show somebody, hey, we are looking for a plateau. This is normal. It will happen at some point the longer we stay in this weight loss phase, but we'll pick it out and identify it. So we're not working a job and not getting a paycheck, right? We're not going and doing all this work and not seeing improvements to your body composition. We're seeing regression. And we'll be able to pinpoint that out because, as you know, plateaus happen very gradually. They don't happen abruptly. And the scale lets people think that it happens abruptly. One day the scale goes up 3 pounds. Oh my God, it's all over. Everything exploded. My deficit is gone and I'm gaining from here on out. No, not how it works. You know, typically they happen very slowly. They're very easy to pinpoint. It's like a snail.
Yeah. Man, the Weight Watchers comment just like brought back memories of actual like junk food candies and stuff, like advertising using Weight Watchers points like on their packaging. I don't know if anybody else can
Who
remember.
did that? What candy manufacturer?
The one that I can like vividly remember is M&M's. I remember like on an M&M like
that makes sense though.
It said like X amount of Weight Watchers points or some shit like that. So if you're over, like I'm 30, 31, I think. I always just say 30.
We're getting to the age where it's like
ever
I think.
ever since I hit 30, I just say 30. But I'm at least 1 year more than 30. So if you're over the age of 30, you might remember this, where like actual, and I only remember it being on junk food, not on anything else. I'm sure it was on other stuff, right? I'm sure it was on some of the stuff, especially like the health stuff, like fucking like cottage cheese and shit like that. But yeah, I remember it being on M&M candy packages, being like, hey, this is 55 points. So I'm guessing that must have meant not that many points, but I have no idea how that system works. It's points in relation to calories in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and that's at some point we have to be able to delegate responsibility and trust the people to do this stuff. If people can manage their own business, if people can manage a damn bank account and their relationships, which are guys, your relationships are way more up and down and crazy than this stuff. You think the scale is a bad date? Let's just look at the dating situation in America post you know what happened. Like this is actually pretty dang smooth. And typically like it can be very linear. You know, it does look typically really good. You got to understand, like, if things really are just so difficult to get going, you're not on parameters that make sense for you. Not to get too far off topic, but you're not on a calorie count that makes sense. You can't be consistent with it. It's okay. Just own up to it. Right? That's why it's important to learn the reverse diet. If you can't do 1,600 calories, there's probably a strong reason for it. Honestly, anything below 2,000 in this day and age is really dicey to lose weight on. That's just a fact. I'm not saying I like agree with it or endorse it per se, but that is the current tools and environment we are in right now. That's what I'll say about it. Right. It's not the 90s anymore. It's not based on a 2,000 calorie diet. It should be based on a 3,000 calorie diet.
Yeah, I agree. For most people, it should definitely be more than 2,000. I think average. Anything under 2,000 is definitely it's definitely doable, you know. And but
Oh, especially from overall health, you're fine. You can go a lot
yeah,
lower.
but it's
Just
like
from a sustainability standpoint, at least from the clientele I'm
yeah,
working with, right? Which
yeah,
isn't
I agree.
probably the overall everyday person, but
Yeah.
you just when you can go to a lunch out with a coworker,
Hmm.
and the main entree is 1,200 calories, and you're on 1,800 a day.
Yeah.
Now you just look like a piece of shit fasting the rest of the day, and people
Yeah.
are asking you questions, and people are making fun of you, and it's like the list goes on. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So, guys, weight loss
Yeah.
is a very lonely thing when you don't have information. You want to chart hacks without any candles? Do it. Let me know how fun it is.
Yeah. There is a lot of weird, yeah, like weird expectations and stigma around it. Like you say, like if someone doesn't choose to eat at a lunch or something, like they're gonna hear about it. If somebody doesn't choose to eat at a whatever, like they're gonna hear about it. If they're trying to make sure that they get X amount of calories at a restaurant, or they want a specific or whatever the case may be, they hear about it a lot more times than not, which is yeah, not great, especially for those who are prone to like potentially like having that like be a factor like in
Yeah.
going through with that or not. So yeah, it's a complicated landscape. It's interesting and complex and tough and man, yeah, I think yeah, this like we both agreed that I think like putting in like one of the reasons that there hasn't been movement here is that it requires the kind of like the time uh hours in approach that it seems like you take with a lot of individuals where it's like, yo,
Yeah.
I'm talking to this person almost every day of the week. They are literally one on one with me checking in. We're
Yeah.
going over like we are putting in the time. And that's I think where we thought a lot of the gains could be made, but it's just like so costly like to put we just don't have like the manpower to put in hours and time for
Yeah.
every single individual.
Think about how easy this stuff is from like a math perspective, guys. It's third grade math.
Hmm.
That's not complex. So don't be frustrated that this is simple on numbers. The part that's complex is timing, the structure of weight loss, learning how to do this stuff from a psychological perspective, and building good relationships with it.
Yeah.
Identify where the complexities actually lie and respect them because they're there, or else the obesity trends wouldn't be where they're going. And everybody
Yeah.
would look amazing. Everybody have a great relationship with food. Everybody be able to basically manipulate their calorie count to whatever they want within reason and have a great relationship with it and lifestyle alongside of it. That's how I know someone knows what they're doing. And on top of that, they don't have to broadcast to the world either. They just look the part all the time and no one even knows what the hell's going on. You know,
Yeah.
that's how you know someone can do this without having to make it known to society, right? Like, oh, I'm tracking calories. I can't go here. You know, I can't do this. I can't do that. That's how you know someone is still in the learning phase, which is fine. But I will say, man, when it comes to people making those tougher decisions, like eating out and stuff like that, and being able to make the right decision, they're empowered to make the right decisions when they have this leading the way. This is empowering because this is teaching them what's going on. They're in control of it. I always tell them, like, listen, I'm in the lookout tower. I'm going to tell you the patterns, the trends, and what I recommend based on the future ahead. You're the one ultimately making decisions of when we start this weight loss phase, the calorie counts that we operate on, when we get out of the weight loss phase and start the reverse diet based on their structure in the future, right? Holidays, events,
Yeah.
vacations, etc. And it makes
Yeah.
them very excited because they're doing it on their own, right? It's not a handhold because I'm screwing the person if I hold their hand. Because when I'm
Yeah.
gone, they're screwed. Period. Rinse
Yeah.
and repeat. Same old thing. You know, so I have to go in there and lead in that way where, yeah, there's a lot of extra responsibility, but the people who come to me are ready for the mindset shift to happen. They're not here for weight loss. They know it's an obvious byproduct. So this gives them the courage to make the right decisions when they're eating out. So maybe it isn't cutting out the eating out lunch, maybe it's portion sizing. Maybe it's shooting me the menu so we could pick a different choice because they're so excited about the progress they've seen. They want to keep getting paid on their work, right? And
Yeah.
to close everything out, we've even talked about why the weigh-ins are great during the reverse diet, guys. I'm going to pull up my chart for that. Hold on. So listen, guys, I'm not going to get into reverse dieting a lot here. It's a term that's not official. Everybody has their own verbiage for these things. But what you need to understand is when you are increasing calories gradually and you're exiting out of a weight loss phase, your body adapts to things quite well. so well that we've seen countless times with many, many people that your weigh-ins and your body fat is not going to come back on if you increase at a sustainable rate. There are limits to this that will go beyond that and will allow you to gain weight. But weigh-ins actually become very stable, guys. This is not this like pogo stick up and down all the time, as crazy as you think. When we get you to a calorie count that's high enough, when someone's eating 2,600 calories a day, and that's on average, their sodium intake is pretty well regulated versus 1,400 calories to 2,800 calories in the weekend. Of course, the scale is going to freak the hell out, right? So as you can see on my chart here, I did a weight loss phase, reverse diet here where things are basically flat, little blip up as we're getting into higher sodium, and then this is my final weight loss phase here, and I'm starting to reverse that again. I'm at about 2,300 calories a day, and I'll be increasing right around 180 calories a week and getting back to 3,000 in another 4 weeks or so, max. And I'll still be right around 142 looking the way I do now, and the weigh-ins basically stay flat. And for females, I see this too. I'll have a female who is 65 years old, just getting her steps in, eating 2,600 calories a day, and she doesn't have to be stressed, right?
Yeah.
As it pertains to the scale, we're not freaking out about it. It's not like, oh my God, is this scale or the bank account going to explode? No, man. It's been flat for 4 weeks. You have to really mess up to make that go up. And even if you do mess up a little bit, your body's ability to not gain as much weight is inherently improved because you're going from 2,600 calories a day to 3,000 versus 1,400 calories a day to 3,000.
Yeah.
So it just gives you an operating environment that's stress-free, is exciting because you get to live the lifestyle you want and give you the flexibility to do the things you want to do with the people you want to do it with without it being such a dominating part of your mindset. Mm-hmm. That's why it's important to know that weight loss is so short-term. 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 Yeah. If you're trying to lose weight all the time forever, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't want to be losing weight forever, obviously. A lot of people have great success with quote unquote reverse dieting. So if you've never heard of it and maybe you've struggled in the past, you've gotten 10 pounds down and then rebounded right back up, and 10 pounds down and rebounded right back up, might be something to look into. I don't think it's like a must include, but it's definitely a massive tool for many people, I would say. Especially when it comes to the coaching world, I'd say in particular. And that's
I would say it's really
it's a tool in the toolbox.
Thing. Yeah, it's a tool in the toolbox. The only thing I'll say is it's becoming, in my opinion, a necessary tool based on the infrastructure and environment we operate in. People typically do not lose weight in 2,400 calories a day because they don't know how to reverse diet. You think, well, what's the problem? Not everybody has to lose weight in 2,400 calories a day. Yes, I get that, but most people are losing weight in calories well below 2,000. And infrastructurally, society, culturally, holiday-wise, we are eating well over 2,500 a day. So this is almost imperative that we do this because those kickbacks where you gain all the weight back really quickly is happening 100% across the board because nobody is identifying two things. Number one, responsibility and care with tracking calories when we're not losing weight. That's an important point. I tell people, my clients, the most successful tool and skill set I can give you is how to track calories when you're not losing weight to a calorie count that actually makes sense. That's what the rest of your life looks like. Not here, not 1,800 calories a day. We're going to be on this for 8 weeks. Who cares? 8 weeks, nothing. The rest of your life, the next 40 years, yes, I want you to be sustainable with it. And not that they always have to live on 2,600 a day, but if you don't become skillful at identifying what higher calorie foods look like, how to track them effectively, you're going to get screwed at some point. It's going to happen because you're going to go out to eat again. You're going to get crunk at your holiday dinner or whatever, or the whole month of December because it was a crazy year, or whatever the case is. Prepare and learn that skill set, guys, because it's not just about the weight coming back on, it's about what the rest of your life looks like too. But yes, if you're losing weight in a calorie count that's really not supportive in America, I'll say America for now, for just this use case, you need to either get to a calorie range that's effective for you. So for me, it's 3,000 and I'll lose weight in 2,000, right around there. And then I immediately come back up because I like to eat at least around 2,600 a day. So like it gives me room to do so. And the point is if you can stay at a lower calorie count forever, great, but you're still not prepared for when things, transitorily speaking, get higher. And it's going to go down. Just like if you can get injured and your activity levels come down, what's more likely to happen? You get injured and you're on the couch for 3 months, or your activity or your food intake goes up wildly in the weekend because you get drunk at the NFL game. Yeah. Like, just think about it. Like, that's the reality is 2,000 to 3,000 is honestly the range I prefer to be in myself. Clients, they're, without getting too into the nitty gritty, I don't want to advocate getting super high in calories just to help get people to go out and eat shittier. Let me be clear. I'm not advocating super high sodium intakes. I'm not advocating super high sugar intakes per se. I am advocating, though, as it pertains to identifying, improving a skill set, which means tracking calories and eating healthy still to that calorie count. Because if it's going to be there, it should be there with purpose and with a good reason. And if you can't lose weight in 1600 in America, there's strong reasons for it.
Yeah.
Unless you're a robot, which great. If everybody wants to be a robot, I would love to take people lower than 2,000 calories a day. It'd make my life easier. Lose weight for longer periods of time. But that's not really the case. So in the short term, let's just say a year, and I go into a weight loss phase with a client 3 times in a year, and we get them up to 2,700 calories a day, just so we can pull the rug and lose weight on 2,000 a day, and their success rate's now 90+%, I'm going to take that bargain.
Mm-hmm.
I will take that. That's a choice. That's my coaching style versus let's put them on 1,600, be a little bit healthier, but then holy shit, look at their lifestyle situation on the weekends. Look at their inability to balance family ties and relationship with holidays and their significant other. And, the list can get long and crazy. But the point is, tracking calories to a higher amount is such an important skill set, especially with the weigh-ins, because guys, the weigh-ins get easy. It's just flat. This is my old chart. I can pull up my new one. It's in my archive folder. It's hilarious. It's just flat. It shouldn't move. It won't move. Like I see girls eating 2,600 calories a day and the average moves by 0.1 to 0.2. Like, dude, you would love it. It's like literally hot glue. You cannot move it. It is so stable, which is exciting because it's like, I could potentially do this the rest of my life. It's like brushing your teeth. Weighing yourself is less time than brushing your teeth. And you don't have to be in the food app, because you can track 2,600 calories in your head pretty easily. It's tough to mess that up. 1,600, a little easier to mess up. Get the Blizzard, the Dairy Queen, it's like 600 calories. Well, there's dinner, So I don't want to get too far off topic. Weigh-ins are a great tool.
I agree 100%.
We have some good comments in here too. Someone asked if I'm a trainer.
I do want to go through this a little bit here.
I am not a trainer.
Let's spend some time in there. Who did I see first? There's a little ways back here now. It was Tank Crypto. I'm down 120 to 120 or down 120 pounds, not sure. 14 months keto. Flip food pyramid upside down. People out of control need to be communicated with at a 3rd grade level.
It's a very mean way.
Lots, like we were saying, very lots of the material does need to be presented in a very simple format. We've referenced the food pyramid, my plate, whatever different thing that the goobers put out is like not necessarily the reference. And glad that keto's working out for you. That's cool.
Yeah, congrats on the weight loss, man.
I am not currently a trainer. I have a little bit of experience training, I guess. Ryan, I'm not sure if you've trained before or not.
I am not a personal trainer. I don't do personal training. I just do mindset development and nutritional guidance as pertains to the stuff you're seeing here, charting and stuff.
It's like coaching more so, hey?
Yep, mindset coaching and really call it body composition improvement, because it's not always weight loss. If you're already down all the way you want to make muscle improvement, et cetera.
Right.
Not always linear down.
Tank again, convert from carb cravings, need to stoke your furnace. Not sure what you mean there.
Yeah, I don't.
Little late. What's the plan y'all are doing? I'm not sure what you're referencing. If you're talking about training, that would be probably a pretty long talk. So maybe follow up with us and try and provide a little clarity. One day we should. Probably the next guest we have on, we'll probably get into some training talk. We almost got into it with the dollar cost, but we just got cut a little bit short. DB, I saw this comment. This is awesome. I've been lifting 5 to 6 days a week, 31 weeks straight. That's nuts. Stopped drinking 13 months ago. Only eat healthy. No sugar. No sugar crap. Lost 7 kilograms. Almost reached your goal. That's unreal that you've been able to do that for so long.
Well done, brother.
My friend. Wow. You must look amazing. TBA, seriously. Great to hear. Got a workout in today, easing back in. Awesome to hear. Anything that's tolerable. You don't have one of the biggest deterrences to adherence that I see right off the start in the onset when it comes to training is people look up a training program or maybe They buy a training program and they see, holy smokes, it's 5 or 6 days a week, and they go from not working out to trying to adhere to 5 to 6 days per week. And
Yeah.
don't get bogged down if you don't meet a 5 to 6 day per week program immediately. Try to ramp up to that, and then if you ramp up to something that's more adherable or tolerable for you, if it maybe that turns out being 3 days a week, if you miss a week, right, it's okay. For some reason, there's this reference to, or like this um, goal of perfection. And if we're not hitting every single meal, every single workout, it's like, oh, I might as well not do this next workout, or I might as well stop working out. And that is so far in the opposite direction of true. It's crazy. I'm not exactly sure like where that um, mindset comes from, but just if you miss a week, just hop right back on your regular program. Hop right back into it, whether that's your uh, whether that's your calories or your training, right? It's not an all or nothing event. So Tank here again, I eat veggies, ribeye, chicken, turkey, pork, heavy whipping cream, nothing low fat, count net carbs. The chicken, I bet, is low. Oh, I see what you're saying. Not like low fat, like advertised as low fat products. I see what you're saying. Need to phase out the noodles? No, don't make the noodles go.
Oh
I,
man, you're getting exercise a freaking
I,
heart attack
I
again.
love the nudes, man. Send nudes, as in noodles. Never eat yellow spuds. Only small portion new potatoes. Not sure why or the difference there. Air fryers, I don't have one personally, but I've heard air fryers are
Dude, it's like the
awesome.
new hotness in the group, dude. For the past year, people have just been like obsessing over air fryers. I haven't really experienced it yet, but
Yeah,
they're coming up with these recipes that are like almost negative calories and all this food, just creating volume foods like French fries, all sorts of stuff. They're like less than 200 calories, so just like a ton of food.
yeah,
Especially goes around these low calorie counts, right? It's
yeah,
sometimes, so they try to make it spam. But I've heard good things
yeah.
about them.
I've heard good things too. My dad got one and he's been messing around with it and he really liked it. And then my brother got one. So I've heard, yeah, I've heard good things. Noodles are the best. Thank you, Tank. Oh, uh, as the eyes, your cauliflower noodles. I like the noodles personally. I mean, I imagine I would like cauliflower noodles as well, but this is, man, this guy would have been might have been on the seed oil train. Should have been fighting me last episode, Tank.
Yeah.
Don't fry in corn oil, fry in coconut oil. The damn seed oils. Not sure. I think a lot of the stuff he's saying is kind of along that spectrum.
You can kill my screen now if you want.
Sure. Couple more comments, guys, and then I think we're gonna call it for the evening here. So let's try and get through the rest of these. Did we have anything else? Wait, is a stable coin exactly?
I saw that one.
It's pegged to the. Oh yeah, the friggin' hex. I just noticed where like I saw everything was red today, but man, yeah, shit's on a dip. It's almost in the 10-cent range for hex.
Yeah, get back to
11
that
11.27 cents.
that 10-7 area.
That's almost buy time, man. The I hadn't bought for a long ass time before it dipped to like 10 or 11, whenever that was, like 3 months ago
Yeah.
ish.
hmm
And man, it's back here. It's back. When it matches your pulse. Yeah, I think you can do crazy things in the air fryer, I think. Lots of stuff.
Yeah, you literally
Ooh,
can just throw whatever the hell you want in an air fryer, honestly. And I
yeah.
feel like it takes out. I don't know what recipes they're coming up with. They put in a lot of work. You know, there's people in the group that could make 1,200 calories last literally like a lifetime, which is incredible in its own right. You know what I mean? Because they're able to just like they'll post like 6 different meals that are just such an insane amount of food and it all adds up to 1,200 calories. I'm just like, holy crap, that's crazy. And the air fryer is a big part of it, man, apparently. So
cool. Super cool. All right. I think that was the end of our oh, Tank's coming back in here. You're not. Oh, I thought you would be anti-seed oil. Tank is what I was picking up from what you were putting down here. Wasn't saying you were pro. I was pro. I'm not necessarily pro seed oil. I'm just not anti seed oil. Like I would say it's okay to cook in corn oil.
but you would have Tank, you should check out the episode
Yeah,
Nutricide did a great job on sugar.
Oh yeah. Look at the sugar episode's great. I think a lot of like these I don't want to call them. Yeah, maybe I will. I'll call them myths. I think a lot of these things you're saying would have been great to bring up in that myth episode. Like, I don't think there's a specific potato that leads to cravings versus another potato per se. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff, especially during those. Yeah, we'll try and maybe mix that in maybe one a month or something. Hey, Ryan.
Yeah,
Would be good.
I'm good if you are, man.
Nice. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for being here. I had a great time. Hopefully, you guys took a look. Go back and pause it on that chart because I think it's so useful. If you, and I'm sure there's apps that help out with this, but just charting 3 to 4 to 5, anywhere from 3 to 7 days per week of your weight, and then move the averages, the deltas. Such a useful tool to look at when it comes to like visualization like that, I think. And using some of that info that we have in the first episodes, you have the tools in your hands to kind of like dictate where that chart is going to go. Very nice. Thanks for that, Ryan. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can glean something from. Like I said, it's not like you have to do it this way, but at the end of the day, responsibility is a shared thing, right? Whatever tactic you want to use, by all means. But like I said, if it's not working and you're open to a different way of looking at the scale as a particular tool in this case, I would highly recommend doing so. And I think the easiest time to do it is when you're not losing weight, just you can see what's going on. It's like, even if you're not trying to make a ton of money that month in your bank account, you're still looking at it. You're still aware of what's going on with it. Even if it seems to be status quo, you still take a look. You don't just like, oh, well, I should be making more money this month, so I'm going to check for the first time in 8 months. Or I should be I should be losing a little bit of weight this week, so I should probably check it for the first time in a year. Like, get familiarized with it. It will build your confidence in things, but it will be eye-opening, and there will still be pain points. You're like, what the F? Why am I up 2 pounds? And if you have those emotions, which they're so overpowering, that just shows you need time in the market with this. You need to give yourself time, the time you deserve to learn, understand, get used to these patterns, so you can, in time, really allow your logical response to overpower the emotional one, because it's typically the opposite. Typically it's like, F this, I'm out, because of the emotional response. And really, that's where the real regression happens, because then you go from caring to not caring about your health for months or even years. That period of time where you lose that person, that's the regression. Not the fact that they went up a couple pounds in a day.
Yeah.
That's not regression.
Yeah.
That could be overturned in 2 days or less. So that's really what we're trying to prevent here by learning this stuff. So yeah, if you're new and you're just popping in, go back earlier. Definitely recommend giving it a look. Probably the first time I really talked about that stuff on a stream ever before. So outside of one-on-one with people, but it's good stuff, guys. And it's easy stuff. This is not rocket science, but the emotional relationship with it is not rocket science, but it's very complex. I'll say that. So give yourself time.
Yeah, agreed. Love it. Good shit, man.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is definitely
this is a big one. This is one of the ones I was trying to say, or trying to make trying to highlight that in the tweet, is that this is kind of what we've been leading up to. Like, a lot of the information has been leading up to right here, where you are now inputting your data and understanding all of what's going into that, and like all of the underpinning fundamentals and mechanisms. It's it's a really cool one. So next Monday we'll be back. We'll be back again. So thanks for tuning in. Please come back again. Bring us some questions. I don't think next week will be the myth one, but Tank, great to see you in here chatting with us.
Vitamins next week?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a little case study. So either vitamins, I've got vitamins on my list, and I have, what was the other one I told you that was on the list?
Oh, is
Sweeteners.
vitamin? Oh yeah,
Artificial sweeteners. So next week, a little case study on either vitamins or sweeteners, or maybe both. Maybe both. Hey,
Okay.
why
Awesome.
the heck not?
I'm looking forward to that one, man. I need to brush
Nice.
up there.
Alrighty, guys.
Thank you
We
guys. We
will,
appreciate y'all. Thanks for
yeah,
tuning in.
big time. And we will see you next time.